नमस्कार दोस्तों, अगेन दिस इज चैप्टर 10 पार्ट 2। एक्चुअली चैप्टर 10 को अब ये दो पार्ट में डिवाइड कर लिया था, पार्ट 1 पार्ट 2, क्योंकि बहुत सारे कैलकुलेशन वाला चैप्टर है। ये कंटिन्यूशन में हम रीडिंग एज अ रीडिंग नहीं ले सकते, इसमें बहुत सारी प्रैक्टिस करनी पड़ेगी, मगर मेजोरिटी ऑफ द थेरी वाला पोर्शन जो समझने वाला पोर्शन है वो हम ये करने वाले हैं ये वीडियो में। जो भी कैलकुलेशन वाला पार्ट रहेगा उसको हम स्किप करेंगे, क्योंकि कैलकुलेशन के लिए हम अलग वीडियो बना सकते हैं। उसके लिए ये वीडियो में यदि वो रखेंगे तो ये वीडियो लेंथी भी हो जाएगा और बोर भी हो जाएगा, इसलिए हम सिर्फ थ्योरेटिकल पार्ट फटाफट कवर करेंगे दूसरे पोर्शन में, जो कि अभी रिस्क के बारे में कहता है। तो 10.3 दैट इज रिस्क मेजर। रिस्क risk is the key dimension of performance of the measurement and decisive factor in selecting a portfolio manager. Now, total risk and the downside risk. Risk is a generic sense. Risk in generic sense is the possibility of loss, damage, or harm for investment. More specific definition of risk can be given. It can be defined as a variability in expected return, total risk, or it can be limited to losses or worse, what expected outcome only, that is called downside risk. Two possible measures of risk have received support in theory to capture the total risk, the variance and the standard deviation of the estimated distribution of expected returns, whereas downside risk includes the concept such as semi-variance, standard deviation, standard deviation, and a target semi-variance standard deviation. Standard deviation as a measure of total risk. Standard deviation and variance are measure of dispersion in the return. Standard deviation is the square root of the variance. It quantifies the degree to which the returns fluctuates around their average. A higher value of standard deviation means higher risk. Standard deviation is used probably more than any other measures to describe the risk of the security. In any academic study or investment performance, chances are that standard deviation will be used to gauge the risk. It's not just financial tool, though standard deviation is some of the most commonly used statistical tool in science and social science. It provides a precise measure of amount of average in any group of number, the return on mutual fund, rainfall in Mumbai, or weight of professional cricket player. One of the strength of the standard deviation is that it can be used across the board for any type of portfolio with any type of security. The calculation in same for portfolio of bond as it is for portfolio of grown stocks or any other type of investment. Standard deviation is interpreted as follows. Suppose the investment interpreted as follows. Suppose the investment portfolio has monthly standard deviation of 3.27. So, suppose the expected return of the same is 2%. This means that the future there is 66.7% probability that the portfolio return would be between mean return of plus and minus 1 sigma. 2% of that is 2% of 3.27 to 2% of 3.27 minus on the plus side and minus side, where 3.27 is 1 into 3.27, that is 3.27 is a sigma. Here there is 95% probability that the portfolio return would be between mean return of plus and minus 2 sigma, and there is 99% probability that the portfolio returns would be between mean return of plus and minus 3 sigma. Standard deviation allows portfolio with similar objective to be compared over a particular time frame. It can also be used to gauge how much more risk a fund is one category versus another. Semi-variance, semi-standard deviation as a measure of downside risk. Semi-variance measures the dispersion of the return below the mean return. Target semi-variance measures the dispersion of the return below the target return. In case of symmetric distributed returns, semi-variance will be proportional to variance and provides no additional insight. Forecasting a symmetrical distribution of return is very difficult and may not be good forecast for future risk. Due to the Due to the reasons, semi-variance is not so popularly used in practice. Portfolio risk versus individual risk. Standard deviation or a variance of the return is used to measure of the risk. While computing portfolio risk, it is to be borne in mind the portfolio standard deviation is not the weighted average standard deviation of the individual investment in the portfolio, except when there is investment have effect positive correlation with each other, which is practically an impossible. Portfolio risk dependent on the weight of the investment, while individual standard deviations and more importantly, the correlation across those investments as shown in the formula below. This formula again, it is explained. Now we will not be able to read this. Actually, just we have to understand this is a formula. After that, systematic risk with unsystematic risk. Systematic risk is defined as a risk due to the common risk factor like interest rate, exchange rate, commodities practice. It is linked to supply and demand of various marketplaces. All investment gets affected by this common risk factor directly or indirectly. Systematic risk cannot be diversified away, though it can be hedged. Systematic risk is measure of beta. Beta risk due to the sector specific, company specific factor is referred as an unsystematic risk. This risk can be diversified away. Alpha return is rewarded for bearing the unsystematic risk. Beta systematic risk is measured by beta. Beta relates the return of the stock or a portfolio to the return on market index. It reflects the sensitivity of the fund return to the fluctuation in the market index. Beta calculation required two series of values for reasonably long period of time, say 3 to 5 years. First series of is your portfolio daily, weekly, monthly prices. The second series would be the market index on all the dates to which the market prices of your portfolio have been considered. Again, the relationship between the beta and individual security with portfolio of security is linear. Beta of the portfolio can also be calculated by taking the weighted average of beta of individual securities investment in the portfolio. Thus, if the stock A has beta 1.2 and stock B has beta 1.1, then they make up the portfolio. The ratio is 60-40. The beta will be beta portfolio would be 0.6 into 1.2 plus 0.4 into 1.1. It is quite obvious that calculation is shown over here. Beta is fairly easy to interpret. Beta means that greater than 1 means that the portfolio or the stock is more volatile than the benchmark index, while the beta of less than 1 means that the security is less volatile than the index. Beta shows the volatility with respect to the index. Tracking error. Tracking error is a standard deviation of the difference between the portfolio and its target benchmark portfolio total return. Generally, indices are used to benchmark portfolio. Lower the tracking error, closer the return of the portfolio to target the index. If the benchmark portfolio is market folio, tracking error measures the deviations from the market return. Tracking error is always calculated against the total return index, which shows the return on the index portfolio inclusive of dividend. Tracking error primarily arises due to the mismatches between portfolio's risk profile and the benchmark risk profile. Risk adjusted risk profile. This is important point. Tracking error is primarily arises due to the mismatches between portfolio risk profile and the benchmark risk profile. Portfolio risk profile and benchmark risk profile. mismatches between portfolio risk and benchmark. Now, the risk-adjusted return, the differential return earned by the portfolio manager may be due to the difference in the exposure to the risk. Hence, it is imperative to adjust the return for the risk. The following are the popularly known return measures. These risk-adjusted performance measures assess the performance of the fund in terms of return per unit of risk. Sharpe ratio, return per unit of risk. Sharpe ratio. One approach is to calculate the portfolio's return in excess of the risk-free return and divided by the excess return divide the excess return by the portfolio standard deviation. This risk is adjusted return is called Sharpe ratio. This ratio named after William Sharpe. It measures reward to the variability. Rewards to the variability. Rewards to the variability, standard deviation. The ratio named after William Sharpe. It is to be noted that these three variables should be for the same period. Generally, the annualized return and annualized standard deviation is taken for computing the Sharpe ratio of portfolio for easy communication across the portfolio. Suppose the annualized standard deviation of the portfolio is 6.5. Suppose that the annualized return of the same portfolio is 10.5. The risk-free rate of return is 5.5. Then the Sharpe ratio of the portfolio is 10.5 minus 5.5 divided by 6.5, that is 7.6. This suggests that the fund has generated 0.7692 percentage point of return above the risk-free return for each percentage point of standard deviation. The Sharpe ratio is a measure of relative performance. It enables the investor to compare across the investment opportunities. Higher the Sharpe ratio, better is the portfolio risk-adjusted performance. A fund with the higher Sharpe ratio in relation to the another is preferable as it indicates that the fund has generated return for every unit of risk. As can be noted, Sharpe ratio adjusts return to the total portfolio risk. Hence, it is useful measure of performance for several mutually exclusive portfolios. The Sharpe ratio is the simplest measure to compute that why it is the most widely used risk-adjusted return measure. However, it has a disadvantage. It ignores the diversification potential of the portfolio. The tenure ratio, the tenure measure adjusted, the tenure measure adjust the excess return of for a systematic risk. It is computed by dividing a portfolio excess return by its beta as shown in equation. Tenure ratio, the excess, the riskless return, portfolio return minus riskless return to be divided by the portfolio beta. It can be seen the numerator of the equation remains the same as in case of the Sharpe ratio. The denominator of the standard deviation is replaced by beta. Beta. Suppose in the above case, beta of the fund is precisely 1. The tenure ratio of the fund would be 0.05. This indicates that the fund has generated 0.05 percentage point excess return for every unit of systematic risk. Like Sharpe ratio, it is measure of relative performance. It enables investor to compare across investment opportunities. A fund with the higher tenure ratio is relation to another is preferable, as indicates that fund has higher risk premium for every unit of market risk. A tenure ratio indicates return per unit of systematic risk. Hence, it is useful measure of performance if an investor wishes to evaluate a portfolio or combination with other activity managed portfolio. Sharpe versus tenure measures. Measure. The Sharpe ratio uses standard deviation of return as a measure of risk, whereas the tenure performance measures uses the beta, the systematic risk. For completely well-diversified portfolio, the two measures give identical ranking because total risk of systematic risk would be the same. However, for purely diversified portfolio, the ranking based on the tenure ratio would be higher than on the Sharpe ratio, as tenure ratio ignores the unsystematic risk. For completely well-diversified portfolio, the two measures gives identical ranking because total risk and systematic risk would be the same. However, for a poorly diversified portfolio, the ranking based on tenure ratio would be higher than that of the Sharpe ratio, as tenure ratio ignores unsystematic risk. Thus, any difference in ranking based on the Sharpe ratio and tenure ratio is due difference in portfolio diversification levels. The Sharpe ratio is more suitable to evaluate the portfolio performance for an investor who has not achieved adequate diversification on his wealth as a whole, and tenure ratio would be used to for investors who had hold their wealth in well diversified portfolios. Sortino ratio. The computing Sortino ratio portfolio returns is excess of the risk-free return is divided by the portfolio's semi-standard deviation. Thus, Sortino ratio adjusts the portfolio's excess return to the downside risk. This ratio may be very appealing to those some investors who view risk as a chances of losing money rather the uncertainty around the expected return. Sortino ratio is return of portfolio minus risk-free return divided by semi-standard deviation of the portfolio. It is Sortino. So please point to be noted. This Sharpe ratio is RP minus RF divided by standard deviation, and Sortino ratio is nothing but RP minus RF divided by semi-standard deviation of the portfolio. Like a Sharpe and other risk-adjusted return ratio, higher level of Sortino ratio indicates superior performance. Information ratio, appraisal ratio. The information ratio or appraisal ratio, if we wish to determine whether or not an observed alpha is due to the skill or by chance, we can compute information or appraisal ratio. Information ratio and appraisal ratio is the same. In the information ratio, return on the portfolio is RP, return on the benchmark is RB. Standard deviation RP minus RB is a standard deviation of the difference between the return of the portfolio and return of the benchmark. Return of the portfolio minus return of the benchmark divided by standard deviation of the difference between return on portfolio and return of benchmark. The numerator is the ratio. Numerator in the ratio represent the fund manager's ability to use his skill and information to generate portfolio return that differs from the benchmark. BSE sensitive index or Nifty 50 against which his performance is being measured. The denominator measures the amount of residual unsystematic risk that is investors incurred in pursuit of those excess returns. The numbers are often referred to the active return of the portfolio, whereas the denominator is referred to the active risk. The numerator is often referred to the active return on the portfolio, whereas the denominator is referred to the active risk. The point to be noted is that active risk is nothing but tracking error of the portfolio. That means tracking error divided by standard deviation of difference between portfolio return and the another is benchmark return. Franco Modigliani and his granddaughter Leah Modigliani, 1997, derived another risk-adjusted performance measure. They adjusted the risk of the portfolio to match the risk of the market portfolio. Risk of the portfolio matter. For such a risk-adjusted portfolio, they calculate the return and compare it with the market return to determine the portfolios over a underperform portfolio or underperformance. To adjust the risk of the portfolio, they resorted to levering or delivering. After the standard deviation have been equalized, return can be directly compared with the return in the market. A high-low indicators that the portfolio has underperformed the market portfolio. High M square measures outperform, low M square measures underperform. Suppose the portfolio has generated a return of 35%, the market benchmark portfolio has generated a return of 28%, the treasury bill rate is 6%, the standard deviation of the portfolio is 42%, the standard deviation of the market portfolio is 30%. Hypothetical portfolio volatility is equal to market's volatility. Now, again, some calculations are there. Those to be done by a calculator only. It cannot be read. Then 10.5, performance evaluation, benchmarking and peer group analysis. Performance evaluation is relative concept. After measuring the performance, next important step is to evaluate it against some suitable benchmark or similar portfolio to address more important issues like how the returns measure up to the comparable investment opportunities. Performance evaluation also enable investor to determine if the portfolio manager has enhanced the portfolio's value beyond what would be obtained from a passive index strategy and whether the portfolio management fees are justified. Performance evaluation involves benchmarking and peer group analysis. Characteristics of indices for benchmarking. GIPS defines benchmark as a independent rate of return or hurdle rate performing an objective test the effective implementation of investment strategy. It is standard or point of reference if it is it is a collection of investment opportunities or securities or risk factor which represent the investment characteristic and investment approach of the portfolio being evaluated against it. Indices make popular choices for benchmarking portfolio. The number of variety of availability indices make selection of suitable benchmarks a daunting task. Good benchmark increases the proficiency of performance evaluation. Hence, while choosing an index and benchmark, care should be taken to ensure that it is representative of the portfolio. A good benchmark should be able to satisfy the following criteria. The identity of constituents and their weights in the benchmark are clearly defined. The benchmark is investable. In other words, it is possible to have a passive exposure to the same. The benchmark is consistent with the portfolio's investment approach. For example, if the portfolio investment approach is to invest in blue chip stock, the benchmark should also consist of the blue chip stock. If the investment style of the portfolio is value investing, the benchmark should be of the same orientation. The benchmark is having the same risk return profile as that of the as the portfolio. The performance of benchmark is measurable. The performance of the benchmark is measurable. Now, customized benchmark. Sometimes market-based indices may not meet the above criteria for good benchmark. Given the portfolio manager's investment strategies and style, such situation demands for an appropriate customized benchmark. When the portfolio manager follow the certain type of investment strategy and style, they create an investment universe reflecting to the same focus their research activities. The portfolio managers then select the most attractive securities from the investment universe. Such investment universe can act as a benchmark for portfolio evaluation when market-based indices are not found to be valid. This advantage of such benchmark is that they meet the requirement of the valid benchmark. The disadvantage of the cost of the construction and maintenance of this benchmark would be much higher than the fee paid for using the market-based indices. The portfolio manager then select the most attractive securities from the investment universe. Such investment universe can act as a benchmark for portfolio evaluation. Managers universe analysis or peer group analysis is also a very popular way of conducting performance evaluation. The median portfolio on the universe of the portfolio manager with the similar investment approach and strategies can be taken as a yardstick to evaluate the performance of the portfolio. Investors have a natural interest in knowing how their portfolio managers are performing compared to other portfolio tracking firms have developed databases to facilitate managers universe analysis. They rank the portfolios with similar investment characteristics and risk return portfolio profile on some risk adjusted return measures. Performance attribution analysis. The second phase of performance evaluation is performance attribution. These are different ways of doing attribution analysis, but one profound way by FAMA remains the dominant framework. FAMA. The underlying theme behind various attributes analysis approaches is to dissect the return into majority of the two components. Return driven by the benchmark and the differential return, and then identifying and quantifying the source of differential returns to primarily establish whether it was driven by skill of the portfolio manager or some random factor in a layman term luck. Just repeat it. The underlying theme behind the various attribution analysis approaches is to dissect the return into majority of two components: return driven by the benchmark and a differential return. And then identifying the and quantifying the source of differential return to primary establish whether it was driven by skill or portfolio manager, some random factors in layman term, that is luck. Asset and sector allocation. Differential returns can achieve by choosing over invest in or overweight a particular economic sector that outperform the total benchmark sector allocation for the period of under invest in avoid or underweight as asset category that underperform the total benchmark asset allocation. Asset allocation effect. Again, one formula is mentioned over there. Now the selection. Differential return can also be achieved by selecting the securities that perform well relative to the benchmark of avoiding benchmark securities that perform relatively poor. Now, the next point, 10.6.3, local currency versus foreign currency denomination investment return. An Indian investor who buys and sells securities that are denominated in currencies other than Indian rupee need to calculate the returns after adjusting the fluctuation in Indian rupee against those foreign currencies. As the return entered on investment denominated in foreign currencies would not be the same when converted back to the rupee term. The fluctuation in currency value can either be enhanced or reduce the return associated with the foreign investment. This is called currency risk. Now, considering the following scenario, an Indian investor invested 50 lakh in US equity fund when rupee was 70 per US dollar. The fund has generated return of 15% during the period of rupee appreciated to 65 per US dollar. What is the return investment has made? Now the capital investment in US based equity dollar 71 lakh, 71,428. It has gone 15%. It has received 15% return. So it has become $82,142. Investment value in Indian rupees is 53 lakh 39,285. Return in rupee is 53 lakh minus 50 lakh, that is 3 lakh 39,285. The return made is 6.79 and not 15%. This is the difference. Performance reporting to the investor. SEBI portfolio manager regulation state following regards the performance reporting to the investor. The portfolio manager shall furnish periodically report to the client as agreed in the contract, but not exceeding a period of 3 months and as and when required by the client. And such report shall contain the following details, namely the composition and the value of the portfolio, description of securities and goods, number of securities, value of each security held in the portfolio, units of goods, value of goods, cash balance, and aggregate value of the portfolio as on date of the report. Transaction undertaken during the period report, including date of transaction and date of purchase and sale. Beneficial interest received during that period in the form of interest, dividend, bonus, shares, rights shares, etc. Expenses incurred in managing the portfolio of the client. Details of risk foreseen by the portfolio manager and the risk relating to the securities recommended by the portfolio manager for investment or disinvestment. Now, expenses incurred in managing the portfolio of the client, then details of the risk foreseen by the portfolio manager and the risk relating to the securities recommended by portfolio manager for invest or disinvestment, default in payment of coupons or any other default in payment in the underlying debt, security, and downgrading to default rating by rating agencies, if any. Details of commission paid to the distributor for particular client. Now 10.8, due diligence and portfolio manager selection. Selecting a portfolio manager is a complex process. It involves analyzing a lot more than just returns. Investors are expected to carry out the detailed due diligence process before selecting their portfolio manager. Due diligence involves thorough quantitative and qualitative analysis of the portfolio manager's reputation, key personnel, and operations. Investors should understand the investment process, investment strategies, investment style to appreciate how the investment returns are generated and gauge the likelihood of the performance persisting in future for the given investment process. The first step is to selecting the portfolio manager is to draft the investment policy statement and determine the asset allocation. Then it becomes easier to select the portfolio manager who offers the best mean to implement and express those decisions. Portfolio manager can evaluate on the basis of their investment philosophy, investment approach, investment process, strategic style, and past performance compared against a benchmark or manager's universe. Attention can also be paid to the major provisions in the contract with portfolio manager. Of course, the management fees and the cost will be a crucial factor too in evaluating the portfolio manager. Portfolio managers can be evaluated on the basis of their investment philosophy, investment approach, investment process, strategic style, and past performance compared to against the benchmark or manager's universe. Benchmark or the manager universe. Attention can also be paid to a major provisions in the contract with the portfolio manager. Of course, the management fees and the cost will be a crucial factor to evaluate the portfolio's manager. Global Investment Performance Standard, GIPS. The Global Investment Performance Standard (GIPS) provide the investment community with a set of ethical standards for investment management firms to follow when presenting their performance result to a potential client. The standards serve to provide greater uniformity and comparability among the investment managers without regard to geographic location and facilitate the dialogue between investment managers and their prospective clients about the critical issue of how the managers achieved historical performance, results, and future of investment strategies. Firms that claim compliance with the GIPS standard must adhere to the governing not only the rate of return calculation but also the way of return displayed in the performance communication. These standards have evolved over a period of time to improve reliability and performance information and standardize the calculation methodology. GIPS provides the investment community with a set of ethical standards for investment management firms to follow when presenting their performance results to the potential client. The standard serves to provide greater uniformity and comparability among the investment managers without regard to geographic location. To facilitate the dialogue between investment managers and their prospective clients about the critical issues or how the managers achieved historical performance, results, and future investment strategies. These standards are broadly accepted and endorsed by the investment management industry. For example, GIPS mandate use the time-weighted rate of return. SEBI Portfolio Managers Regulation 20 has also prescribed that time-weighted rate of return for communicating the past performance. 10.10 GIPS Achievement Guideline. Advertisement Guideline. GIPS Advertisement Guideline attempt to serve the industry to a global best practice for the advertisement of the performance result. The GIPS Advertising Guideline do not replace the GIPS standard, nor do they absolve the firm from presenting performance presentation that they are to be adhere to requirements of full GIPS standard. The guideline only apply to firms that already satisfy all the requisites of the standard on the firm-wide basis and claim compliance with the standard. Firm that claim compliance can choose or advertise that claim using the GIPS advertising guideline. The guidelines represent the minimum disclosure and presentation requirement for film that includes a claim of compliance in the advertisement. All advertisements that include a claim of compliance must include the following: description of the firm, how an interested party can obtain a presentation that complies with the requirement of GIPS, and a list of description for firm's composition. GIPS advertising guideline compliance statement. A description of the strategy being advertised. Period to date composite performance result. Composite result for either or both of the following time period. 1, 3, and 5 year annualized composite performance return with the end of period date clearly identified, or annualized period since annualized period since composite inception if the inception is greater than 1 or less than 5 year. Period of less than 1 year must not be annualized. The annualized return must be calculated through the same period of time as presented in corresponding compliant presentation. 5 years of annual composite performance returns, or since composite inception if inception is less than 5 years. The annual return must be calculated through the same period of time presented in the corresponding compliant presentation. Whether performance is shown gross or net investment management fees. The appropriate composition of benchmark total return of the same period of which the composite return is presented. Firm must have disclosed the name of the description of the benchmark. The appropriate composite benchmark return is the same benchmark total return as presented in the corresponding compliant presentation. If no benchmark is presented, the advertisement must disclose why no benchmark is presented. The currency used to express performance. The currency used to express performance. The description of the use and extent of leverage and derivatives. If leverage or derivatives are used as an active part of investment strategy, that is not merely for effective and efficient portfolio management of the composite. Where leverage and derivatives do not have material effect on return, no disclosure is required. When presenting non-compliant incorporation for period to 1 January 2000, it is an advertisement. Firms must disclose the period, the speech specific information that is not compliant, as well as the provide reasons the information is not compliance with the GIPS standard. Now this is the end of the chapter 10 part 2. The simple sample questions are there. Measure of performance which divides portfolio risk premium by the portfolio's beta is tenure ratio, tenure measure. What is the expected return of the 3-stock portfolio described below? Just we will have to multiply the things and weightage, then we will be able to conclude. Let us do it. 12 by 25. It would be 12 by calculation. Sharpe performance measure divides the portfolio's risk premium by the standard deviation of the rate of return. Portfolio performance measure of information ratio. The portfolio performance measure of information ratio calculate average differential return per unit of variability of differential return. Sharpe measure of AAA field. Sharpe is nothing but it's a ratio, the risk premium divided by standard deviation. So for AAA, it is 11 divided by 5.02. 2.19 is the answer. Compute the Jennison measure for the BBB fund. This again, we will have to revisit the formula and do it, Jennison measure. Now this is the end, and now we are closing this video here. The last appeal, if you want good services of wealth management from experience of last 20 years, we have customized solutions and we are working very fantastically by defining the wealth goal and proper solutions. Thank you very much. Do contact us.